Hey, welcome to Critters in Taiwan, a D&D podcast about Critical Role, where a bunch of nerdy-ass voice actors sit around and play Dungeons and Dragons. I'm Ben.
I'm Tim.
And we are Critters in Taiwan. I'm in Kaohsiung.
I am in Taichung, both in Taiwan, of course.
Because we're Critters in Taiwan. Hey, Tim, how are you now?
Hey, I'm good, man. Should I jump into the technical difficulties
Go
that
for
we've
it.
been
Just
through?
give it right away. Yeah.
All right. So last
We've been
week,
struggling.
you might have noticed that we didn't have one up on YouTube's because something happened with my damn video editor where no audio's coming through. So this week we're doing it. We took the detours and we're doing it this way for the time being. It's going to be as it goes, but
first world problems. The struggle is real.
The struggle with all the, you can't just set it and forget it these days,
Yeah.
As soon as
they
you
told
said
us it was going to be so much easier.
Exactly.
I know.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll sort it out, and we're here now. We'll get things started with what we're off. We're not streaming live right now, but we'll figure that out eventually when we get to it. When we get around to it.
Yeah. There's never one problem at a time, right?
Yeah.
But hopefully this one works out too.
So this is a podcast about Critical Role. If just a quick little housekeeping, spoilers about everything. If you're not caught up, maybe walk away, maybe turn it off, maybe step away, or stick around. Maybe you'll learn something. But we will be talking about everything Critical Role related. That is everything. If it's campaign 1, campaign 2, campaign 3, one shots, the other stuff, the
spin-offs,
Undead Wood, everything. Crash Pandas, one of my favorites.
Tox Machina, one of my favorites.
Tox Machina, of course. Yeah.
You've
been warned. You've been warned. I just recently watched the very first Tox Machina. It was a very different show back then. It was
really
a very different show.
Very different. There was no beard.
There was no beard. Brian
ironic.
Wayne Foster looked like I'd forgotten his name was Wayne. Brian Wayne Foster looked like a child. He was a very, very young, handsome man. I don't know what happened.
But he still did quite a damn good job.
He was still the same. He was
ready for it the whole time. Like a lot has changed, but he didn't change a whole lot. Just the kind of the format.
I still follow him on his live stream when he streams on Twitch and stuff, and he's still the same guy. Still quite good. Still quite.
I didn't know he had a live stream on Twitch.
I told you about it a couple weeks ago. Huh. He's doing interviews. He breaks down. He watches interviews and then he breaks them down and commentates on commentating.
Oh, you did tell me that. Yeah.
It's interesting. Cool. He did a Noam Chomsky one. A couple of maybe not Noam Chomsky, maybe somebody else. Anyway, something along those lines. Very intellectual shit. Far beyond what we're probably going to be talking about. But anyway, let's talk about this.
So we're skipping an episode.
10. Yeah, we missed episode. We didn't miss episode 9. We have an episode 9 podcast out there. It's not out.
We've got the audio. We've got the video.
Sitting on some VHS tape somewhere in an archive.
We might be releasing it sometime in the future. Just stay tuned. We'll let you know at some point, and you'll just see it pop up.
It was recorded, just never uploaded.
Yep.
So this is episode 10.
Yeah.
Ghosts, Dates, and Darker Fates.
Right. Shall we get started with the rollies right off the bat?
Hey, right off the hop. Let's go. I just be forewarned. I dropped my dice out of my dice bag, the big boy, and that came up. Just so you know.
So you've wasted one. Well done.
And I didn't. The dice bag wasted it for me. I literally popped it out, pulled it out, and it rolled onto the table. Anyway, shall we?
I don't think that's the bag's fault, buddy. Rollies.
All right.
I got a 9. Maybe it's your turn these days.
I got an 11.
Hey, look at you.
The big 35 millimeter dice is hot these days.
Yeah.
All right.
Those.
Listen, I'm gonna go right off the hop. As I've told you before, I do a lot of my note taking in chronological order, and I jot things down. And I'm just gonna start right at the hop. When this episode started with Chetney on the ground as he just jumped through the window onto the wet grass. It's raining, and he starts to run away. Just a little side note. Episode 9 ended with him throwing a tomato that he stole from the kitchen into the thing, and they never mentioned that. And I thought that was a little bit of a missed opportunity, because that could have been that had potential for fun comedy.
They didn't mention
anyway.
Well, he was like, "What the fuck is that?"
Yeah, yeah, what the fuck is that? But then that was episode 9. Then when they started episode 10, they didn't
Oh,
actually
and it
talk
didn't
about
get
it.
brought up.
It
Well,
didn't get
chase
brought
started
back
pretty
up again.
quick. I mean,
It did. It did.
man.
They were keen to get going. You could tell. No, my point about this is Laura's gameplay, RPing slash mechanics slash gameplay of Imogen with coming to Chetney's rescue and really starting the what I've been calling the ghost play through this whole, and it happens later on as well, where they really crank the spook meter up to 11. It is quite good. But I have 2 little points that I thought were some exceptional thinking on Laura's part in the role of Imogen. And the first one is
Quite a bit of that
her.
going on these days.
No, there is. They're good, man. They're really good. This is kind of
man.
my overall overreaching point is that they're I mean, I've told you this before, sidebar. I'm finishing up the Chroma Conclave right now. They're just entering into Iman to confront Thordak, and watching them grow through campaign 1 and then watching them grow more through campaign 2, they are at the top of their game, their D&D game right now. They're very very good players at this point. Matt's always been an exceptional DM. I mean, he's grown as well, but he's grown a little bit in little bits and pieces, whatever. They as players, and this is across the board, have grown immensely, doubled, tripled, quadrupled their gameplay, if not even more.
I wouldn't mind seeing Matthew do some some of the older things, like Pathfinder, like to see how he does with those, because he's got a lot of experience with those as well. And fifth edition is pretty new to him.
Yes. Yeah. Well, relative. It's been
but
6-7 years.
He's killing it, of course.
Totally. So anyway, my 2 little points that I have here that I thought were exceptional role playing or exceptional mechanics by Laura as Imogen. The way Imogen cast Catapult. Now, I'm using I'm playing a gnome arcane trickster right now, and I have the spell Catapult, and I've used it several times, and it never once occurred to me to use it the way that she did. And I'm 100% going to be stealing this because she reached into her pocket and pulled out a handful of ball bearings and then catapulted them through the air. And my character also has ball bearings, and never once have I thought to shoot those ball bearings as missiles to she wanted to try and shoot them on, throw them underneath, catapult them under his feet so he would slip. It didn't work. It failed ultimately, but it was, I just thought, I just watched that and my jaw dropped. I was like, fuck, that is genius.
That's useful as fuck.
So just a great intuitive way to use combine a spell with something that you carry on. I'm going to be thinking about that more with not just ball bearings, but other things I'm carrying. Grab some silverware, throw it up into the air, and then catapult it. I never thought about you. I don't know why it never occurred to me to use things that I was already carrying. I always thought you should just use things that are in the environment. And that's what because that's kind of what the spell is written. You can pick up things that are around you and throw them. Right. I thought that also things that are around you are things that you're carrying. So that was the first one. I thought that was great.
It sounds kind of like telekinesis. And I'm kind of wondering now, what the difference might be.
The catapult mechanics work. It only goes in a straight line. And if
telekinesis
telekinesis, you can move it around and do whatever you want.
Okay, so catapult is just fuck you.
Catapult literally is just it just fires straight ahead.
Velocity vector that way.
Yes, yeah. And then if they make a deck save, they miss it, it just falls harmlessly.
How did I never think? Well, I guess I've only heard of catapult when I think Caleb used it once in campaign 2 in the ship. He fuck up.
It's not a particularly useful spell, but I think Laura or Imogen just made it very useful.
Yeah, it's fucking smart.
I'm quite excited about it. And then the second point that I have immediately after that, Chetney started running towards them, and immediately after that, Imogen casts Calm Emotions, and that was a beautiful use of that spell to calm him down and take him off his game and sort of lower his guard, and just this really really beautiful use of it, and then all hell broke loose was with Laudna. But
Was
yeah,
was it
it's
was it that moment when God damn it, I'm mixing up my first campaign and this campaign. Because I'm watching the first campaign again. I'm halfway through the Briarwood arc.
mhm,
Where she says when I cast calm emotions, I can make them stop being hostile towards something.
towards
Was that the
something.
one when
Yes.
Matthew was like, "Uh-huh," or was that? Am I mixing that up with something from campaign one? Did he seem
I
like a
think it's
little bit like
something.
nonplussed and like,
No,
"Fuck"?
no. In this situation, he was very much. He walked up and he was like, "You cast it," and he says,
Okay,
"I'm
so I
getting
got him
some."
mixed up. Okay.
Oh, okay, no, and then he Matt's RPing as Valley as well at
No,
that point. So
okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it was good.
that was a good play.
That's
Yeah.
It was a really good play. I mean, and then all hell breaks loose with Laudna when Laudna does the her unsettling presence,
It's
and then
fucking
she
wonderful.
oof,
Uh,
it was
Dorian
just
with
a
his levitate, just like, you know.
oh
Remember when he
oof
said like what do you do to intimidate or what do you do to
yep.
scare or whatever it was?
Hmm,
She's like,
hmm.
am I not doing it? Like,
Am I not doing it? What a great
she's
line, because
levitated, she's
clearly,
doing this, she's got
yep,
the
yep,
and the presence
yep.
already. It's like
Well,
we did it all.
Matt, yeah, well, Matt was more like, "Do you have any?" I think it was a little bit of miscommunication. I think when I watched it the second time, I was like, "Oh, okay." He really just meant like, "Are you adding anything else to this?" It
Right,
wasn't like
right.
that wasn't enough. It was that, what else are you going to do? I think that was the whole
Yeah.
point.
That was
But
some
anyway,
damn good stuff. Yeah, I didn't
yeah,
really
that
think
was
about the catapult because I was like,
Oh, it's
didn't
for
know
me,
much
like
about it.
I've used the spell a couple of times to mixed results, but now I'm thinking, okay, this is a way to sort of step up the game and start thinking about using things that I'm carrying.
Like
It's just
offensively,
yeah,
you know,
offensively, yeah.
like
Yeah,
tossing a piece of
or
fruit at somebody.
yeah.
Maybe it hurt, maybe it doesn't, but
Mhm,
some ball bearings. Finally, there's a use for them other than tossing them
yeah.
down a ravine to see how deep it is, or
That's right.
spilling them
Yep, yep.
downstairs and picking them all back up later. Yeah, that's some brilliant shit.
Mhm. I'm kind of excited to bring that little modicum of sort of okay, now I've got a thing, another thing that I can use. Anyway, that's
works
my point.
works right with your character too.
Yeah, the arcane trickster
The
is sort of built.
trickster, like it's
Yeah.
just like exactly the way that Imogen used it, just right under the
Hmm.
feet. Whoop.
Get rid of the feet and trip them up and all of that. Yeah, it's a great muse. So that's my
Yeah.
point. What do you got?
All right, I'm just gonna come from the top, just like you did.
Okay.
Laudna says because they discussed that maybe Chetney, not Chutney, he had
I
the
love how I love how Robbie often he puts a weird little accent on the e, and it sounds like he's saying chutney, but it's actually chutney, chutney, chutney,
sounded
chutney.
like, yeah.
It's
He said it over and over again when they had the watch together. He was just like, so
yes.
Chetney. I think he said it
Yep.
every time he spoke, and
Yep.
I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
is Chetney gonna respond to that or
Mm-hmm.
react to it?
Yep. Yep.
I have here. So he's commissioning them to make something out of wood, and they kind of like go over it. Like, so let's
Mm-hmm.
specify a little bit. And when Laudna says she wanted the rat puppet, because in
Oh
a
God, I
couple
love this
episodes
I
prior
love
she
this
said
line.
a girlfriend
Mm-hmm.
for
Mm-hmm.
Pate, and Chet says, well, I had something else written down. Mine started with an F.
Yeah.
And slow laughter started. Like Laura
Oh
went
fuck.
nuts for a little bit.
Laura lowers her head onto the table, and I can tell she's almost in tears. She's laughing so hard.
I think she's just going through all the F words that it could have been.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm,
my
mm-hmm.
question here is, what was that word?
Well, you know what
What
that
went through
word
your head?
was.
What was that
Oh,
word?
the only word that it possibly could have been is fuck doll.
I
That
was
was
thinking fuck puppet.
well, fuck puppet. There you go. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Same thing, same deal. I'm like, right. That's clearly what it is. But Travis is a fucking genius when it comes to this, because he does this later on, even when he's like, he says to Orem, and then you guys take out the guards, and Orem's like, I don't want to kill anybody, and Chetty's like, well, no, the method's up to you, man. I didn't mean kill them. It's like Travis is really, really clever with this, with putting it out there. Oh yeah, here's what planting these things in your head, and then backing off and going, no, 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 that's not what I meant. I don't know. I was just saying things. It's up to you to interpret what I mean. It's very, very clever. I
Well, he's
love
kind
it.
of a cunt that way. I don't know if
Yeah,
it's Travis or Chetney being the cunt, but
I
or
think
just
it's
some combination.
I think it's a lot of Travis, as I've said many times about Ashley really being able to play Fern and it coming so naturally.
It's just
It's
getting better and
it's
better.
something inside of her, and I think this is something inside of Travis that's allowing him to really channel his grumpy old man. He's really able to get the Statler and Waldorf vibe that is excellent, excellent.
Yeah, agreed. Rolly number 2.
Let's do it.
All right. Ooh, 18, motherfucker.
I got a 19, motherfucker.
Oh, son of a bitch. The fucking dice have turned.
Woo!
Come on.
Oh, hey, dude, you rolled an 18. That's fucking great, but it doesn't. beat
Yeah,
my
but
19.
well, now you're just my
Woo!
nemesis.
This big black dice is doing you. You go, baby. You do your thing. Okay, well, carrying on with what I just said about Ashley playing as Fern, I'm just going to throw out there that really nice little history check that she made, and Matt giving her
The
the
nightmare.
info about the Nightmare King. Yeah. What
She
a
rolled a
fucking
20, a
wonderful
dirty 20, right?
a dirty 20, yeah. What a wonderful interpretation. This is like what I was thinking the whole time about. Often when Matt provides them with history, they make a history check, and Matt gives them some information, and they learn some things. Often like I would say almost every single time, they just turn to the table and they go, yeah, and I repeat all of that.
Right.
But
Sorry.
Ashley as Fern twisted it and is like, oh yeah, my grandmother used to read me these delightful stories when I was a child about this Nightmare King who was was it a figure that bent and twisted nature for fun.
For
And
fun,
she's just
yeah.
like gleefully repeating these. Oh, it was terrifying, and even like
Your grandmother told you this?
yeah,
I
FCG
think that
even
was
looks like
FCG, yeah.
your grandmother taught you these. And she was like, well, yeah.
Well, that's the story, but yeah.
It was terrifying, but fun. It's just
It's just
one of
Ashley
those-
killing it again, over and over again. I have a few more points of her killing it on here if we get to them.
I know. I got a couple as well. I'm sure we have the same ones. It's just such a wonderful, weird little I don't know, affection that she has towards this character, where she's just there's no filter. It's just she's just like, I'm just saying everything that comes into my head, and being a klepto at the same time. I mean, she picked up Valley's like ornamental saber, right? As soon as he dropped it and he ran, and excuse me, she dropped it and he dropped it and ran, and then she picked it right up. And and then she just carries on about this whole Nightmare King bedtime story. It's just, I don't know, there's just something about that makes me very, very, very happy. I think it's because we're not used to seeing Ash. I've said this before. It's because we're not used to seeing Ashley RP like this, because we know Pike and Yasha were absent. So
yeah, that's a big one. She's here the whole time. Another one that I think we mentioned in the last one that's not up is that she had all that experience, or those 8 episodes in EXU, to kind of get comfortable with the character,
get her chops. Yeah.
And it's nice to see her like sitting in this element a hell of a lot more. Like, maybe she finally found her caduceus or something,
I think so. It feels like it's very much that. Yeah, very much like when Taliesin has his caduceus moment, everyone's like, holy fuck, Taliesin, knocking it out of the park.
Yeah.
And Ashley's doing the same, knocking it out of the park with Fern. Like, it's just
constantly.
It seems like a character that really, really fits her, which is such a strange choice, right? Like, it's this satyr from the Feywild that is a druid, a wildfire druid. It's a strange combination to make this character that just totally fits. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Love it. Speaking of which, if I'm taking my turn. Another small point. Matthew's attention to detail, which of course is always there, but it's something that I just noticed only on my second listen through, where the date that was supposed to happen, like, it seemed like the players were a little confused, like, oh, we'll be back in 2 hours. And he's like, well, 2 hours after sundown,
2 hours after
which
sundown, right?
which
Right.
I guess for there might be 5 or 6 p.m., but sundown is clearly a time, and that time frame was set in stone. And I believe it was when, yeah, because they made the date, and then in this episode they had the date, right? And when they went back, just a tiny detail of knowing what time it was and how busy it fucking was, which was also great because when they went in there, when it was so fucking busy, when they saw Pretty sitting there, and he just described the 3 boxes on the table, it was like, oh God, this is amazing.
It was so good.
And he's like, you gotta
It's
understand,
funny,
it's super
like,
busy in here. There's tons of folks, just
yeah.
like, and he's just sitting there, just
Told you.
yeah.
So good.
I want to know
So
how much
good.
money he made from that bet,
I'd
from all
love-
those bets.
yeah.
Because no
Love to
way
know.
Pretty's sitting there with 3 chicks for a date. No way. Of course I would bet
Not a
against
chance.
that. I want
Not
to
a
know how
chance.
much
I'd
coin he
throw-
made for that.
I'd bet my whole purse on that. I'd bet whatever
Totally.
I had. I'd be like,
Who
yeah,
wouldn't?
10 gold, all of it. Yep.
Yeah.
all of
I mean,
it.
Pretty's not known to be a liar. He can't be. Look at him. Look how
Yeah.
adorable
Yeah.
he is.
Super, man. Super.
Yeah.
As honest. Again, Matt, just Matt crushing it as an ogre. Like if Matt doesn't play an ogre in his next character, I'll be disappointed because all the ogres he's played have been so good. So good. His face, the way he scrunches up his face and he makes his I can't even do it. Like just the way that he pretends he's got tusks and talks.
I can't do it.
It's so good. It's so good.
That's not bad. You remember when they used the Wanda smiles at the gentleman's place
yes.
in campaign
On the
2?
Wanda.
He's like, he didn't tell him what he rolled. He just sat there like, I can't do it. I can't do it.
Yeah, he comes
did
with
it so
that
slowly.
So slowly.
Like, did he
yeah.
practice that at some point? Like, does he spend an hour in front of a mirror every day just practicing different shit? Could be.
Professional voice actors, man. I don't know.
Well,
I don't
yeah,
know how
but
they do
voice
that. I don't know how they
actor,
do any of this shit. It doesn't make any none of it
Voice
makes any
actor.
sense to me. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know voice actor, sure, but
And
I mean,
speaking of
there-
it, sorry. Oh, something
No,
that
no,
just
go
came up a little bit. Because everybody's a little skeptical of people's characters now. So when they finally snuck into the kitchen, invisible Chetney snuck in there.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
they saw an ogre, and they kind of started describing this ogre. And then they were like, there was a whisper from, I think, Laura to Liam, or the other way around. I think it was Laura to Liam, saying like, does he have thick black glasses? I think we may have mentioned that in our last one. It's kind of hard to
Yes,
remember because
yes.
I usually listen
We
back
did.
to those too.
We did. We talked about it.
And yeah, I didn't really pick up
Yep.
on that, and I get until you said
That
it.
it was.
but
It may have been. Buddy. Pretty maybe Buddy's son. Possibly. Who knows? I mean, the
or
timeline
some kind of
fits.
acquaintance.
Yeah, or who knows, right? Like, yeah, it's something. It's a relation, perhaps. That the thing is, and this is one of my points later on, but whatever, man, is the intelligence of Pretty is crazy high, because the way when he comes out of that theater and then starts talking about it, I'm like, this was a conscious effort by Matt to make this a very, again, like Matt does and has done time and time and time again, twisting things and twisting the idea, like flipping the script, turning things on their head, and giving you unexpectedness, like an intelligent ogre that has opinions about plays and about the dynamics of a play, and just wonderful.
Maybe
Loved
he's
it.
low key the new Gilmore, the new
Thor's brother,
no Pretty
Loki.
No, low key the new.
Bad
Oh
joke,
fuck!
sorry.
I guess. It's like Thor. Who the fuck
Sorry.
is
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
God damn it! The simulacrums. What are they called? Campaign 2.
The Pumat Soul.
Pumat
The
Soul,
Pumat
thank you.
Souls.
Pumat Souls.
The what were they
maybe
called?
like Pretty's kind of low key gonna be the new one of that. Like he might come up
Maybe.
later as smart as he is.
Mhm,
He
mhm.
might come up and like he might have some information. He might join them on a fucking thing.
That'd be fun. That'd be
You
fun.
know, who knows? Campaign 3, anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I got some points later on we'll talk about, but yeah, I'm excited to see. We're episode 10, so there's some there's a lot. We're just beginning, right? I think we're getting to the point. I talked about this in our last one that didn't get aired. Number 9. I feel like all of these threads are starting to come together. I feel like there's a real. Finally, we're getting a bunch of them that are pulling in, and we might see some real drastic movements. Because like no disrespect to this campaign so far, but it has been very much we go to this spire, we go to that spire, we go to this spire, we go to that spire, we go to this spire, we go to that spire. And it's a big city, I get it. So like I'm enjoying the fuck out of it, but there hasn't been a lot of movement. They've just sort of been moving around in circles, and it's been hella fun, and I've loved every part of it.
We're getting
But
a lot of
eventually they're gonna
information
have
from the
to.
characters too because of it.
Yes,
You know,
absolutely.
pretty
Backstories are
quickly.
coming. Oh yeah, as opposed like campaign 2, it was 70 episodes before, or not quite that many, but like 60 episodes before we found out that Not wasn't Not.
Yeah.
that Not was actually a halfling that had been reincarnated as a goblin. So it's like,
Yeah, it
yeah,
was like
but
50 to 70, something like that. Yeah.
we're pretty close to learning about pretty much all of their backstories, I mean, or a good chunk of them anyway.
Yeah. Imogen's the real only the only real mystery so far.
We got a little bit more information about her today too, about her this episode as well. So that was nice. There's of course not everything. I mean, we don't know much about FCG still.
Yeah.
His backstory is also that who is Dancer and why did the other ones get destroyed, and why was he built, et cetera, et cetera. We don't know very much other than what, but again, like all of them, we've learned enough to satisfy, I think.
Yeah, but he is
That's good.
Sorry. They are an open book at this point as well. You know, it's like, well, just ask me questions,
Yeah.
But he also feigned
again,
the what do you call that? Crossing wires, the short circuit.
Oh, the shorts. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that was for
clever.
a different NPC, I think.
Sam's clever, man. We know this. Sam's gonna play, and it's fun to watch Sam play a straight shooting, lawful good character that looks like he can't lie, looks like he's an open book, looks like all that. But Sam is clever. We know this, and not being able to lie doesn't mean you're always telling the truth.
Right.
So I think there is a lot of things that he's holding on to. He's keeping a little bit close and doesn't want to let go, even though, he's got outs. I'm sure he's got outs. Like again, the short circuiting or memory blanks or blocks or who knows, right?
And
like
nobody called him out on deception,
Nope.
And I think his charisma stat's pretty high, isn't it? 14 or something?
Something like that. Yeah.
Like
he's
12
a
or
cleric,
14?
so wisdom is the highest, but I think he's got a
Yeah.
Yep.
I think at this point
Something like
everybody
that.
just goes with even numbers because they know, the
modifier.
if they can. Yeah.
Yes.
Was that my point and you have a response?
Nope. I won, and then so it's Rolly's.
Oh, and that was mine. Okay, Rollies again. Here we go.
All right, I'm 2-0, baby. 2-0.
Ooh, what's
Let's
that?
go. Oh, dear Jesus.
I got a 10.
I got a 2.
Okay, I'll take it. Straight from the top.
Yours. I'm on the second page now.
This is on me. This point is I missed the whole date my first time listening through. It's my fault because I had it here sitting right here, and I could hear that there was a date going on, but I was also playing Hades on my fucking computer when I was listening to it. And because I got off work, I wanted to play video game, and I had Critical Role, and I'm doing it at the same time. I thought I knew the game well enough to just kind of tone it out and listen. Fuck no. I missed that whole thing. I caught the part where Matthew abruptly stopped it, and he's like, "Well, it started when I got to Marquette or something."
Yeah, that was.
And then he's like, and then and they jumped over, and everybody laughed, and I was like, "Huh?" And then kept playing my game. When I listened back to it just today, when I was at work, when I had some at lunchtime, there was so much fucking shit in there that I missed. I missed all the boxes. I missed the bow tie. I missed the bet. All that shit is brand new to me this morning.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, which is great it was, for me today.
I mean, listen,
I can't play games and watch. I have to watch it,
No. Yeah, you got to, especially the first time. Like when I'm watching it the second time, I'm doing other stuff, and I'm taking my notes, and I'm like, oh wait, hang on a second, that's an important point. I pause it, I write down something, and then I unpause it, catch what they're doing, make sure I got it, and then I go on. Like I have a little bit of mechanic. But the first time that I watch it, I'm like, Riveted. I'm like
Like you're using
riveted to the screen.
closed captions too, yeah? The
And
first
also closed
time?
captions. Yes.
Because I like to do
100%.
it without it first and then closed
Yeah.
captions next.
Listen, man, I've been using, I use closed captions for everything now. Every single thing I get subtitles for.
And
When I watch
clearly I'm
TV
doing it wrong.
shows, when I watch, yeah, it's too many of the shows. Like I watch a lot of sci-fi and fantasy, and like the Book of Boba Fett I'm watching right now. And the if I didn't have the subtitles for Book of Boba Fett or The Expanse, I would have, sometimes I'd be like, who the fuck is that? What name is that? I do
All
not
the time.
understand that. I didn't get it. I'm like, and so I have to have the subtitles on. I have to have the closed captioning so I can, I hear it, and then it's spelled out. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. Like that's an odd way to say that, those combinations of vowels and consonants, but sure.
It was just a sound the first time unless you have the closed captions.
Yeah. Very, if I'm, yeah, I read a lot. So the audio is sort of secondary to visual for me.
My
I'm reading more faster than I'm listening.
I think I told you this when I went down to yours to watch the first episode,
Mhm.
and it was like, yeah, let's put on the closed captions. Fine, like
Mhm.
we're doing a little compromise here. The only reason I don't do it is because I can read a lot faster than they go through their lines,
Right.
so you can see the words that they're gonna say before they say it.
Yes.
And I
And
don't
that
want to
tends
ruin
to
that for
it
myself.
spoils it. I get you.
Yeah,
I
it spoils little
I'm
humorous aspects and
mhm.
timing and fucking clever ass fucking
Yeah.
comments.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
so that's why I
I hear
can't do
you.
it the
I
first
hear
time.
you.
But I'm
Mhm.
usually not watching the first time anyway. I'm like out on my balcony, like I've said, with my phone playing the episode,
Right.
my iPad playing
Right.
some shitty, like 1945 mobile game. So I'm not
Mhm.
really even watching it. But yeah, it's all audio, like the closed captions. I'll do
Gotcha.
it second or
Well,
third. I still had them off today, but because there was still a bunch I missed. Like I just said, I missed the whole
mhm.
fucking first part of the date. And a little bit at the end too. I caught most of the conversation after, especially when
You did
I'll
catch the
stop
first
there.
part of the date though, right?
Say it
Like
again.
you did catch the first part of the date, right? Where before they even get there, when they're looking for flowers.
I did not. No, I missed that.
Oh man.
When they were
So
looking for stuff and they just picked up garbage.
Laudna just
Fucking
picks up a bunch
tankard
of
and
trash,
there's
a
like
tankard and
bones.
some, yeah, but and she uses some of her chicken bones to make that trash bouquet. I was like,
Yeah.
this,
And he made a roll for it and she rolled a 1. And he's like, "How do you make that worse?" So he
yeah.
added maggots to it.
Oh, it was and as soon as he's like, I don't know how to do this. Everybody looked, and it popped into my head right away too. I'm like,
I didn't
oh,
look.
he's gonna make maggots. He's gonna make maggots. And because as soon as the cast all look, and Taliesin even says, "Say it," you're gonna say it, and I'm like, well, I think he's gonna say maggots.
Oh,
And he's
what?
like,
I gotta watch
and a
that again.
maggot pops out, and I'm like, holy fuck. Even I knew he was gonna do that. Like, I guess I don't know if that's just from watching the show too much or not enough, or I don't know.
No such
It's
thing.
never too much. But even I knew, like I'm sitting there watching, I'm like, maggots were the first thing that popped into my head. I was like, because I was thinking, I'm like, well, Laudna put chicken bones in there. I'm like, oh, and it's trash. There's maggots. It's definitely going to be little fly babies.
I'm looking around for
you
chicken
know?
bones right now. I don't think I've ever had a maggot in one of them.
Oh man. Oh, dude, if you and this, we live in Taiwan, man. This is a tropical country. You leave food out long enough, and within 2 or 3 days, it's got maggots in it.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. I just don't think
You
I've
know?
seen it in chicken bones. I've seen it
I've
in
seen it
meat,
in
but
everything.
I guess the
Everything.
marrow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
the tendons and the ligaments that are around the ribs.
Oh man, I
I
clean
think
those
she said,
bones, dude.
no, I know, but maybe Laudna didn't.
I mean, yeah, I
Anyway,
guess it wasn't her
um,
option either.
yeah. So, well, I think I really, if I can have my point now, I'll piggyback off of
You're
that.
up.
I think the idea of using, see, this is that whole thing about Pretty being a very, very intelligent and erudite. What, it's not erudite, it's not the right word. Just an exceptional ogre. And the gifts, those 3 gifts, the spiral cauliflower, the perfect artichoke, and that fucking mutant pumpkin, the
The
little
pumpkin, the
gourd
dual
that had
pumpkin. I
pumpkin,
didn't
the,
hear
du- the pumpkin, the
I didn't
pumpkin.
hear the cauliflower one. I was
You
buying
know
something
those,
at family. Can you explain
you
it?
know those, yeah, you know those cauliflowers that are they're often purple or green cauliflowers, and they're The
The
Fibonacci
pattern?
sequence. Yeah, the Fibonacci. It's a Fibonacci. You know
Oh,
the
okay.
Tool Fibonacci. Every time I think of Fibonacci sequence, all I can think of is Tool,
Seem like
the band
fractals, maybe
Tool, the fractals and stuff.
fractal
Yeah,
pattern or
because
something.
Maynard writes a lot of his lyrics based on
In
fractals.
the
I
album
hear
art, yeah.
in the album art and all of that. Yeah, it's a thing. A lot of my friends down here are Tool fans, and it drives me insane. But the that perfect spiraled cauliflower, and then that like the little thing, and the perfect artichoke that had been
Yeah.
cleaned and pruned and cut, and just like a perfect one, and then that mutant pumpkin that was so beautiful, and then so he gives these gifts, and what wonderful little gifts beautiful things that he's found in his kitchen that he thinks are so beautiful that he wouldn't serve them as food, that he would present them to his dates. Like there's just that whole sort of what a wonderful little cherry on the top of the pretty Sunday. And again, to keep going with that, what the ladies then did with them, and that's like Laudna put one on, or the Laudna put the artichoke. No, Laudna put the spiral cauliflower in her hair, and Imogen put the artichoke on her wrist as a corsage, and Fern sticks the pumpkin on her horn. Like, just, whimsical and fun, but the fact that they were treating these things as flowers that he had given the girls, for the ladies, for
That's
their
right. Yeah,
date. It's just
flowers.
as just these little tokens of his, quote unquote affection. Like, here,
Yeah.
these are my, and it was just a really, really touching little moment for me. I really enjoyed that. I thought it was
Well, yeah.
quite
Matthew pulls through,
clever.
you know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, Matt really, really providing these little touching moments with unexpected tenderness from a traditionally brute of a monster in the ogre. It's great.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot.
I've got 2 more points about the date. How many do you got?
Okay. Uh, I think after the break, I've got a couple more, but not really. Nothing
Okay.
really. Go
So
ahead.
I'm
Go.
I'm gonna
Yeah, shoot.
break the mold and be like, all right, we can roll these again,
No,
but
go.
we got
You
to
go.
stick to the date for now.
You go.
Okay.
No. You go. You
Just
go with the
go
date.
without rollies?
Just
I just roll the
go.
dice, man.
You want to roll?
Let's roll.
Let's roll.
I got a
Jesus
2.
Christ. Ah, really? I got a 3. Wow. I looked at that. I'm like, a 2 and then a 3, but I beat your. All right.
You got another point about the date?
I have another point about the date.
I can
Let
put
me
my 2
see.
together if you've only got one more.
I do, because my point about the date is just a little one. It's the when FCG being the fifth wheel of the date, and is sort of asking the others about their other dates, and Laudna being like, not really, and Imogen saying never. Well, and then Imogen's like, no, I did have one date with one. I did have one little, when I worked in the stables, my friend that worked at the stables, and they're like, what was his name? And she's like, Samuel. And FCG just looks, what a stupid name. And the cast cracking up laughing. Like, just, it's that again, like I said earlier, that cleverness of Sam, because he jukes when everybody else would go straight ahead. Everybody was expecting Sam to go, oh, that's so touching. Wow, that's amazing. I can't believe you did that, because
He can put his ego aside. What?
It reminded me of when Not is talking about his parents, and he's talking about his mom and dad, Travis and Ashley.
Oh,
And
right.
the look of pride on Travis and Ashley's face when they're like, that's so sweet. Oh, that's great. And Sam, I'm convinced
They made that
all of
canon
them-
in talks.
They did. So
So then brought it into the next game. Or
I'm convinced
whatever.
that Travis and Liam and everybody at the table was thinking, as soon as Laura says my boyfriend Sam, that they were all expecting Sam to go, yeah, that's right. And he just knocked them all out with the whole, what a stupid name. Just wonderful. And then
Would
then
FCG
coming back,
say that though?
it's no. He's, because he even said,
I think he broke
FCG
character
says
a
it.
little bit for that, but
He does, but then he comes right back with it by saying, "Oh, I'm joking, I'm just teasing."
Right.
And then he says, "Yeah, Sam, the only man you've ever loved,"
Right. Yeah.
which
Bringing
is
it
the
back to
callback to the fucking
NordVPN.
Nordverse fucking nonsense with Black Willow 69. Like, hey, by the way, let's talk about that for a minute because that shit is still going. Like
It
this
is.
has
I don't think
been
there's an end to it either.
no, I
And
don't.
I
And
think
even
that's the
this
point.
one, I think that's the point. 100%. This is it's a bit that's never going to end until
Yeah.
Sam decides to kill
And
it,
you'll find
and he
out next
probably
time they
won't.
sponsor us.
How is it still going? It's just and this was a long one. The one at the beginning too was long. They all had roles. They all had lines. They all
Except
had
for Sam.
parts. But he's a cube right now. So how can he talk?
Well, I guess he was the puppet master, sure. It was a
Yep.
little hard to understand was it the previous one, the filter on the vocals, on the voices. I found it a little bit tough to understand what Robbie was saying a few times.
About what?
Just in general, when they had the filter
just
on
in
his
general.
vocals, when he had the green eyes and he was, like,
Oh yeah, sorry. With the Nordverse, I thought you were talking about like
Yeah.
for the game. No, for the Nordverse stuff. Yeah, well, that's again. This is why closed captioning helps. So he's not really saying anything. He's just sort of like, ah ha
That's
ha.
always the
You fell
answer.
right into. Yeah, you fell right into my trap. I'm the set, and I'm SETI, the set, and it's the set that has the virus. And because Marisha forgot to install NordVPN on the
Yeah.
set, whatever
That's
the fuck
cool.
that even means. It's just that's all. It was just he was just saying a bunch of lines that Sam wrote down. It was just nonsense. Anyway,
All right.
that's my point about the date was about Sam flipping the shit on Laura, which made me
Right. So far
giggle.
we've got Andy and Sam.
Sam and Andy. Yep.
And when Pretty, like, he was saying, the end of the date, you don't know if he was going to go this way or this way, and then he's like, let the girls down softly. You could
Oh,
see,
it's a beautiful
like,
moment.
the one I was looking at most was Robbie, because he was like,
Yeah. Oh,
and then he says, but, and he went, ooh.
Yeah. Travis and Robbie broke Matt there. It was an awesome moment. I loved it.
So good, so fun. I had to go back. I went back 8 times because I watched the first one watching Robbie, and then I went back 8 times to see everybody else's reaction to. But because you have to do it, you have to see them all react to that moment, and it was so fucking, man. Pretty was a badass in that moment. Not just they're like, yeah, turn down 3 chicks, good for you. No, just like, I guess Matthew was the one that was the badass in that situation. He's like, I don't think anybody expected that.
No, not at all.
At least I thought he was going to go for Fern,
Yep.
Because like Fern,
I love it. And then he even says to Fern, even looks at Fern and goes, "You're perfect just the way you are."
Yeah. And when they were talking, it's like, my name's Pretty, but you are,
Yep.
And it's like, okay. And Fern,
so
I think the comment she made, afterwards, that's another one of the things. She's always the bridesmaid. Are you aware of that? Are you aware of that term?
Of course, man. Of course. Yeah, that's a super common one.
I'd never heard of it before. I was in a band called the Ever So Friendlies, and there was one of the lyrics, always a bridesmaid, never the bride.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. I thought he wrote it. I thought he brought it up.
Oh,
when I heard it here,
really...
I was like, you son of a bitch, Sean Armstrong.
Yeah. That's funny. That's a super common saying.
I've never heard it.
I heard that all growing up. It was a common thing where I was from. It's like when somebody would get they'd get dumped or get turned down or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, always a bridesmaid. I think I've said it once or twice in my life. Like, when you get shot down by somebody, it's like, yeah, always a bridesmaid. That's, it means you didn't get lucky. You didn't score. You didn't get anything. It's kind of a stupid saying, actually, now that I think about it, because it is kind of dumb, but because I don't know about you, but in my experience, the bridesmaids always hook up at weddings.
Well, I mean, there's been times. No, I wrote down, just on that same line, I actually wrote down what Matt said. Just if you don't mind me reading it. Yeah, go for it.
What Pretty says to let them down. So as this is happening, they walk out and he's like, "This has been an unexpected pleasure, and I enjoy your company and friendship deeply. But And that's when everybody
That's
goes,
when everybody broke.
everybody looks and is like, what?
'Cause they didn't know which way it was gonna go.
They
You know?
100%. And then he finishes with, I just think we're different kinds of people. Please do not misunderstand. And he looks at Robbie and he's like, God damn it. He looks over at Robbie and Travis because they're fucking losing it. They're losing their mind right there. It's just what a beautiful.
Like, you
They
son of a bitch. God damn it.
it was so good. And then I mean, and then the rest of it turns into this weird, trashy romance novel, Daniel Steele fucking shit that it made me. I
Yeah.
was killing myself laughing. I'm like, wow, that's just great, just great.
Like always, too, I can't really tell when Fern is speaking from the heart or not, but she's from the Feywild, so who really knows, you know? So
Exactly.
she's sitting there and she was like, can you tell me something that I did? Maybe I can fix it for next time, you know? Like classic breakup thing. And then it's like, always the bridesmaid. Like, that's Ashley just digging into that character. But Fern, whether or not Fern was actually into Pretty, I don't know. Maybe Fern's never had a relationship before, you know? Unless I missed it and she said it.
I think that the chaos is so strong with that character that Ashley doesn't even know. That if he
would have been
down
and Ashley would have been like surprised with her own shit. Yeah.
I think if he had been down with Fern, Ashley would have been the one like, nah, I'm not interested in you, and would have broken it off. I think Ashley is just a
brutal.
I heard a funny thing on I'll give credit where credit is due on the Joe Rogan podcast, the Joe Rogan Experience. I was listening to him on one of my walks a couple of nights ago, and Ari Shafir was on, and one of the guys, oh shit, I don't remember now. Somebody on the podcast calls no, it's definitely fuck, I don't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Calls one of
definitely
them.
I don't know.
Five guys on the podcast at that point. And they're all drinking and smoking and having a great time. So there's a lot of crosstalk. But one of them
Segura,
calls the other
Kreischer,
one.
Ari.
No, it's like Ari and
different group.
Yeah, okay. It's Ari and Joe and then a bunch of others. Like three other guys, comedians, all stand-up guys. Anyway, one of the guys calls the other guy a kite flyer.
Night flyer.
Meaning that a kite.
Oh, like kite flyer.
A kite flyer. And I had never heard the term before. But instantly when he said it, I was like, holy fuck, that totally makes sense. You just go wherever the wind blows. Like whatever the opinion is, whatever the common opinion is right now, that's the direction that you go. So if the winds are blowing this way, that's the way you go. If the winds are blowing that way, that's the way you go. And it was in context, it made sense. I'm looking at Fern as being a kite flyer. Like Ashley is playing her as a kite flyer. Like wherever the winds are blowing, that's the chaos that she is going to follow. So if Pretty was into her, she might have just been like, yeah, no, I'm not into this anymore. And I'm just going to, I'm going to make it super dramatic. And if Pretty is not into her, she's like, oh, why not? And leaning into it, just kite flying all over the place, like swirling winds everywhere. And I love it. I think it's amazing.
Yeah. And her choices, like episodes past when she was like, do you have a straw or something like that? And she just takes it and pockets it. And then later on uses it just like, hey, open your mouth. Yeah. Straight from FCG. Like, just remember that kind of shit. She's killing it. Oh, she's killing it.
Absolutely crushing it. Absolutely crushing it.
So good.
Anyway, that's that was my point. I think you're next.
Yep, that was your point. And that was my response. All right, I got a few more left. Rolly.
Okay, rollies. Let's go.
Ooh, 19, buddy.
Yeah, no, I got a 5.
All right, going from the top again. Here we go. There was one point where Chetney, I have it written down as Chet, it confused me for a minute. Chetney and Dorian were taking a watch? What were they doing? I forgot what it was. Just the two of them were awake or something.
Yep. I think Orem was. Yeah, they weren't taking a watch. Orem was away doing a thing. He was going to check something out, and they were just standing there. They were just watching. Yep. Oh, okay. I know the exact moment.
Like a lookout.
Yeah, like a lookout.
Not like a night's watch or something like that.
All three of them were doing lookouts, but Orem had walked away for a moment, and it was just Chetney and Dorian just standing there.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So my little note to myself, and then just your opinion, basically, would be that whole interaction where it kind of got, talking about friends and whatnot, yes. And it kind of got a little bit sweet, and Dorian was like, well, yeah, when you have friends, it's like, it was about fighting. It's like, you really get to know someone by fighting them. And he's like, well, I see fighting alongside of them.
Yes.
And then
It's,
they
oh,
got
that's
really
so
friendly.
deep.
Put his hand
Yeah.
on his shoulder. He put his
Yeah.
tiny little hand on top of it. Everyone was like, "Oh," including myself on my bike ride home. Like,
Yeah.
"Oh,"
Mhm.
because I
That
couldn't
is pretty
see it.
cute.
Did they do it in the episode?
100% they did.
Because they sit right
Absolutely.
next to each
Because
other.
they sit right next to each other. So Dorian or Robbie put his hand on Travis's shoulder and Travis reached up. He's like, and I put my tiny little hand up on your hand.
His
And
tiny
then
hand.
like
He's got hands
his hand
bigger
was
than my,
there and it was like this. Yeah, I know
torso.
exactly. But he made it look, he only used his, it was funny because Robbie's hand was like right here and Travis did this. I don't know if you can see it or not.
Yeah.
Just like that. Just put his
My
fingers
tiny little
onto his
calloused hand
fingers,
right here.
like tiny, trying to make it look like it was tiny little fingers. It was a very cute, touching little moment. You're right.
It was for everybody
Yeah,
listening and
for
watching.
everybody.
The question
There was-
is Chet fucking with him or is he being genuine? And does Travis know that answer either? Speaking of people being a little chaotic between the actor and the character.
My first initial guess is that no, he's being honest. He actually is. Chetney is feeling it is a moment of tenderness. The cynic in me is thinking that there's some duplicity
I think he's
going
got trust
but
issues. He's like, "Oh, that was nothing," you know, like
exactly. Yeah,
I think you gotta play the game. You never played the game.
There's definitely some of that going on. There's
Yeah.
also in that moment, right in that interaction, there was also that it's raining cats and balls.
Yeah,
That was that was funny. They're like, nope, that's what we call it too, cats and balls. And then
yeah.
then
What color where
Taliesin
you're
comes-
from? Nope, that's it.
That's it. Yeah. And then Taliesin looking over and going, it's water. It's water. It's raining water.
It rains water. I don't know what you're
It's
talking.
water. Yeah.
Forgot about that. Oh, that's it for that one for me. What do you got?
I'm gonna shift gears a little bit. And because not shifting gears, but concurrently, what is happening at that moment, but not there, is Ashton going to the Lucian Spire.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, the Lucian Spire, the Lucient Spire.
A little Freudian? Would you call that Freudian?
Maybe. Well, it's definitely because it's Molly. It's Taliesin who's Molly, who's Lucian, who's going to the Lucient Spire. Going to the why did I write that's a weird one to write down. But I wrote down Lucient Spire, which is the residential one where like there's at the top of the spire is where all like the 2%ers live. That's where the rich fucks are. With the manors are, and then they've got I wrote down the Hexam Spire, but it's not. I don't know what.
No, that's the name of the person he went to see.
The Hexam Manor.
Okay.
And the person that he went to see is Gianna Hexam.
Right.
And I thought it was really, really, really fun to watch that little bit that afterwards when he's like, yeah, nobody's here. And then he walks inside and it took you long enough. And then he goes in and all of the cast are like JH. It was JH, wasn't it? It was JH. And Matt just sort of sits back and goes,
JH?
You got it.
What?
You got it. JH.
JH. Right.
JH.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
He says JH. And even Sam is like, it's JH, right? It was on the box, that was on the crate, on the chest, in the thing, and they're all like, yeah, it was. And they're all talking and furiously looking at their notes. And Matt,
there was a lot of that during that whole interaction because there was some information that only Matthew and Taliesin knew, and everyone was just like,
100%.
What did he say? With the crosstalk being low.
It's weird watching them all furiously taking notes at the table. It's a strange one. I'm surprised they're doing it. It's new. It's a little criticism that I have. They're all doing it. And it's a little criticism that I have because I feel like taking notes like that is not really everybody's job, but especially when they're not involved. It's not those aren't your notes to be taking. But that being said, it also frees them up that when they do eventually learn that stuff to actually RP it, as opposed to looking back and furiously writing down the notes as they're hearing it from Ashton when Ashton comes back. So it's like 6 and 1 half dozen the other. I don't like it, but I understand its importance. So yeah.
And one thing I agreed with Ashley on when she said it at some point. I don't remember if it was Talks or if it was don't remember when it was. She was like, when she writes it down, she never checks the notes again. It just helps her
Yeah.
remember it when she writes it
Mhm.
down. That's what I did in
Well,
college. I never
mhm,
checked my
mhm.
notes. Like I
Oh,
almost never
really?
had to.
Oh
As
man,
soon as I wrote it down, other than formulas and shit for the math and the physics,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
of course I'd have to go back and check those. But
Yeah.
for general information and stuff like that, when I wrote it down, it was locked up in, and I
No,
never
no
had to
kidding.
check it again.
What I did is the way I studied for exams and stuff is I looked at my notes and I just rewrote all my notes and then it was
Yeah,
locked in
I
100%.
rewrote them
That's
nicer, so I was
yeah,
paying more
exactly,
attention.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Yep.
and yeah, just I never tried to remember formulas because we always
Mhm.
allowed things.
Yeah, you're allowed to have them, they'd be on the test on the exam. Who the fuck needs
Yeah,
to
they'd
remember
give them.
that shit?
Yeah, there's no.
Yeah, they give them
Yeah.
to you.
Um.
But that's really all. That's my sort of point. I mean, the whole thing that whole Gianna Hexam thing was, that initial like, there it is, and I mean, I guess I'll keep, if you don't mind, if I keep going a little bit here.
I think that's
Um,
basically my last two. I
well,
didn't
that
write
was
one of the points down, but those are my
okay.
last two. Are kind of in this
No, no
vein.
kidding. Well, I mean, okay, so I'll go right into where this that's the
Before I
break.
forget, I could write this down.
Yep. So that's the break. When that happens, when he goes into Hexam Manor and
Yeah,
starts talking to that Gianna Hexam. Um,
that was a good break spot. You
it was a great break spot. And
go in,
even
and that's where our break is.
I loved Liam's little comment. Got us
It's
with
like
the hook. Well done. Well
nice
done.
break
I was
point,
like,
good
yeah,
hook.
really, really, really clever. The if you don't mind, if I just keep going with this,
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
this was, not to get into the details. Well, I get into the details too, but
sure. Fuck it up. If anybody's still here and they haven't
gen
seen it,
general over like umbrella sort of overarching stuff. Finally, we get a chance to see Ashton's connections and he's been talking about them for like 9 episodes now, about how he knows people and he knows this and
he
he knows that.
seemed full
And
of
we
shit,
we
but
he seemed there did seem to be a little bit of that, but finally we got to see Ashton's background and a little bit of his connections in the underworld and why he knows stuff and what he knows in the city of Jassar. And number two, more important, Talison's acting chops, man. Wow, was he good? He was so good with Gianna Hexam. Just their little back and forth, and him really being like, I am incredibly honest with you, and I'm telling you everything, and just I appreciate this and I appreciate you, and I think that you understand where I'm coming from and I understand where you're coming from. And that whole back and forth that he had with Matt I was like, as Gianna and as Ashton, they're just like going at each other in a very civil and nice way. I was like, well, fucking played, Taliesin. It struck me as a really, really good display of his ability as a voice actor and as a D&D player.
maybe to
It
his
was some
credit, I didn't notice.
brilliant RPing, man. Go back and give it a watch then,
Yeah,
because
because
it's some
yeah,
really, really good RP. Really good.
I just got through that part before getting on here with
Mm-hmm.
you. But yeah, maybe I didn't notice
Oh,
because it was just like I was watching two people go back and forth, and
yeah,
that's.
well, I think that's that. Well, that might be part of it. Then you didn't even realize it because it was so smooth.
Right.
Because generally, I've felt that, especially with Talos, and no disrespect, the guy's a fucking great player and a great role player and a great everything D&D player, but he often stumbles in moments like this. Like
He does.
he has a history of stumbling and not playing it, making mistakes, making little fumbles, little things, whatever
Fumbles.
you
I
want to
think
call them.
fumbles a good way to put it.
Fumbles, yeah.
He's done it a lot.
A lot, of course he does. He gets ahead of himself. You can see it. I think we're all guilty of it, right? It's just like
50,000 people watching you. Act
yeah,
natural.
yeah, exactly.
Jesus.
And in this one, I was like, wow, he's really, really in touch with this Ashton character. Like he really understands him. And again, like we keep saying over and over again, they're crushing it as these characters. The whole cast, they are.
I
And
think his
it's good to see.
perhaps overuse of the word fuck is
Yeah.
really helping him
Yeah.
stay in the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a
Mm-hmm.
little bit much for
Can
my
be.
opinion, but I'll
Mm-hmm.
probably change that opinion pretty quick. But
Mm-hmm.
it is in character because that's just how people talk. Fuck, I talk like that
Sure.
too.
I
You
do all the
know.
time when I'm not at work, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, the
Um,
filter's on at
the
work, but then yeah, as soon as I leave,
100%.
it's fucking fucks everywhere.
The I thought I don't know. We want to get super into the details. I'm not going to get into the details about what they spoke about, but again, it felt like there's a bunch of threads coming together.
Mm.
It felt like
That
this was just one more of those pulling a little bit tighter, a little bit closer. The net is sort of gradually, the web is sort of being built, and this net, this whole, like, there's all these loose threads out there they don't really know
yeah.
much about, and this was one more little thread being pulled in a little bit tighter with the I don't know, just those connections, right? Just really,
Yeah.
really good.
And of those
I really enjoyed it.
connections, there's Dorian's brother,
Yep.
um, the anger, which I think we still don't know a lot about,
No, we're
and
we're
then
we're gonna find out
also
about him soon, very
right, and
soon.
I think because of those threads being
Yep.
pulled a little tighter, and then
Hmm.
also Robbie's perhaps temporary situation in
Yep.
on the table.
Yep. Yeah, we
Those
don't know
three
yet,
things I
right?
think are going to go together pretty
I think
swimmingly.
so.
That's
I
my
have a
prediction.
feeling my prediction on this is I think exactly the same, is that once Dorian's brother, Cyrus, once he gets his situation comes to a head, I think Dorian's going to leave with him. I think that sort of feels like the natural course of things, and
It's
then
going to be
Robbie
heavy,
will be
man.
off the table. It will be. It will be.
It's going to be
Been a
hard for
long
me. I'm
time.
a crier.
I'm 100%. It's going to be a
People
sad.
at the table. I mean,
Yeah.
Travis
I,
smiles when he feels that way. Sam also just, but like
the
Liam, fucking like Laura, I almost said
the
Keyleth, Marisha,
mm,
they're gonna be like,
100.
no, it's
Of course
fine.
they
And
will.
Fern being in character, she's gonna be
Hmm.
fine with it, but she's gonna probably,
Hmm.
just a
Hmm.
prediction. They get pretty soft, and I join them
It,
right there on my
it's
balcony.
gonna be real sad when Matt kills them, isn't
Yeah, and if Chetney's short-lived as well, I mean, he's old as
he?
fuck. Who knows?
Mm-hmm,
And you know that he's
mm-hmm.
got we got Samsonite, we got who else?
Yep,
We got all kinds of people lined up.
sure.
Yeah, this is the Game
Um,
of Thrones of Critical Role right now.
yeah, it is. I think that's. I've got a couple more things that.
Yeah.
Oh, talking about if you're, do you want to do rollies again, or do you want me to just sort of
Uh,
spout off a couple of things I'd like to say?
I'm gonna skip that one right there because it's not important to me. But I was gonna say a little bit of something about a quick one. Maybe your opinion about. So we got the story of um, Ashton's, being
That was one of mine
repaired
as
like the
well. Yep,
Japanese stuff
yep,
by somebody who didn't
hmm
really know much, and he's a stone or earth, sorry. But then,
yep.
and he was like, oh, and a big old
Genasi,
piece of glass in
Genasi.
his head or something.
Mhm.
That was left a little bit just like, and there's that, and then moved on.
Well,
I think there
he
might be a
said
little
that.
bit more to it.
Oh, I think so too. He said it was his exact quote was chaos fairy magic bullshit. And by
Right.
Milo, it was Milo that did the repairs, right? As he fell after he fell out the window and fell down and was broken, and was repaired with the gold that he had been paid. And Milo had put it all together with his chaos fairy magic bullshit. Now the chaos thing is the
Chaos
first word is
fairy.
the interesting one.
That sounds
Well, no, it's
offensive, but it's
he's
not.
he's Taliesin says he's like when he's fought when they're in combat, Ashton uses chaos bursts. So this
Right.
chaos
Oh.
magic
Oh.
is
Good
the
point.
connection.
Good pull.
Yeah, that's where
Damn.
it struck me in right away. I'm like, yeah, that's where that comes from. It's homebrew, so who the
Oh, it's
fuck
quick
knows what it
too.
means?
Shit.
But
Well done.
yeah,
There's a
yeah.
reason I do this with you.
Thanks.
Jesus.
Yeah, that was sort of, and again, that story of him telling the rest of the troop at Spire by Fire, again, more of Talison's excellent role playing, like the way that all of that came so naturally. And he just like, yeah, I trust her completely. And here's my story. This is the reason why I trust her, is because I broke into her house and I did this thing and I did that. And then I was repaired by this and blah, blah, blah. And then she found me and now I have this debt to pay off. And his acting, his RPing through of that was exceptional.
I'm gonna watch it again
Exceptionally
after
well
this.
done.
I'm gonna watch it
Yeah, I'm
again
telling
after
you,
this
man,
for
it's
sure.
those two moments when he's in the Hexam Manor talking to Gianna Hexam and then recounting it with the rest of the troop. Excellent RPing, as good as we've seen from Taliesin, in my opinion.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, Caduceus had some pretty big shoes to fill, or
Yeah.
left some
Yep.
pretty good shoes to fill. Yeah.
Mhm.
Should we roll these for the last one and then call it?
Sure,
All
let's do
right.
that.
Because I got one more.
Let's do
That's
that.
all.
I got a good one. I
right.
got my last. I got a couple more, but I got one good one.
All right.
Oh, hello.
Oh, you're taking it. I got a 13.
I got a 17. All right.
That was pretty even.
Okay.
That's the
Yeah,
last
it
rollie that
was
we
not
had. That was
bad. No,
pretty
I
even.
think I got the edge. I got the first two, then you
I think
got
you got
one,
the
then I
edge.
got one. I might have got the edge on this one. Just a little bit. Just a
But
little
I've
bit.
had
Just
the
one or
edge for the previous 9 episodes, 10 episodes. We've done 10.
I don't know about that.
Oh, totally.
I
Well,
can
the
say.
last one
Well,
actually that hasn't aired. Nobody saw that. There's no
mm,
proof. I totally nailed
right.
it.
Sure.
So
Okay.
eight
So
eight for
mine,
2 or 8 out of 10 is not so bad.
I'm gonna go right to the ending.
Go for it.
Right to the very ending with this. It's. I don't think it is the Nightmare King. I think this is a nightmare. This is a. I don't think this is Nightmare King. I don't even think it's really Nightmare King related. Well,
It's too
maybe it
early.
is.
It's
It's
too
too
soon.
early. Absolutely. But this fucking as Matt said, the Jack Skellington figure that spiders up on top of
Yeah, with this fucking big
the
ass.
stool
Yeah.
and the long. It said 7 or 8 feet tall, just this dude, but thin, with the long ears, the really long
Oh,
ears.
that's right. Yeah,
Uh,
like he went like
no,
this, didn't he?
yeah, he pulled
Yeah.
them way back, not out, but long
Right, right.
back. And then a squashed nose. And I instantly, when he said no nose and the bald head and the nose and the odd eyes, it's a gith.
A geth.
It's gith,
Gith.
Gith,
I was
gith.
thinking that's Mass Effect, dude.
Remember, remember.
That's totally not what a geth is.
Right, right. It's a gith.
Gith.
It's either Gith Zerai or Gith Yankee. I don't know, and I don't think it really matters.
Gith
But
Yankee, I think, are burly. Didn't they have one in
yeah, well,
campaign 1 when they fought Voragol? I think it was
yes,
Voragol
yes.
in the valley.
No, they're no,
Different white dragon. The one in the
yes.
conclave. I thought that was
Well,
Voragol.
that's not Voragol. That was. Oh yeah, no, it's Voragol. Voragol is the one. I don't think there was a Gith there. Those were all dragon.
Scanlan summoned the fucking thing, and then he had the.
Oh no, that was
door.
Yank. That was
Oh,
Yank.
that wasn't Gith Yank.
No.
Oh, totally
That was
different.
he was a pit. That was a pit fiend. That was that was Yank.
That was Yank
his
the
name.
pit fiend.
His name was Yank, and he was a. I don't know if he was a pit fiend or was a fucking monster. Anyway,
Something from the
not a
hells,
Gith,
right?
not a yes, Abyss, I think.
Shit. Yeah, now I gotta look that
Whatever.
up.
the Gith
Anyway.
are search for Bob. Bob was a Gith. Maybe we don't even really know that for sure, but Matt never really
He was a
said.
tiny little. Oh, that's right. Yeah. He didn't seem as spindly as this character.
They're varied. So that's the thing. Is it some weird modified Gith, but it clearly is a Gith. The problem is that grin and the length and all of that doesn't really fit, but some of it does. The others, the ears and the nose definitely are. The other stuff is weird, but the other point that I have about it is that coupled with that weird Frankenstein vibe of the electricity and the arcing noises.
Oh,
and
right. Yeah.
The cages and all of
the
that.
Talking.
There's something that none of them noticed. And I didn't catch it until the second go around, was that when they come back to the Mirror Tower compound, and they're going towards the Moon Tower, they see some of the wardens coming out carrying a cage with a flickering red light inside, and they all Matt describes it, and they all ignore it completely. And then he's like,
way.
"Oh, you didn't?" He's like, "I could see the wheels turning inside." He's like, "You didn't see that? Okay." And he just carries on. He doesn't even mention it again. He just keeps going on because they're focused on breaking into the place, and they're focused on they're going. Okay, now we go. And Matt was sort of like giving a little hint, but they missed it. So and it's all good. It's one of those moments that,
and we don't know what it is until
we don't. And it probably will never come up again. But it brought to mind. I was thinking, I'm like, if they deal with this character, with this creature, whatever this thing is, that little thing that got carried away, whatever it was, little arcing Tesla coil, whatever the fuck it was, it may come back into play again because it's a little DM trick, I think, or out where he's like, yeah, well, you took care of all of those. There's no more left, right?
Right.
I brought one out and you missed it.
He's probably
So,
sitting there poker facing about like,
yeah,
they
sure.
didn't see it. I
Hmm.
mean, they can all go back and watch it.
Yep.
They still haven't really discussed the animated furniture type of thing. It's been brought up like
No,
six times
no.
or whatever,
I'm
but it
hoping
hasn't
that
been
that's what this is.
addressed. You know,
Well, there, if you remember, the animated furniture thing came. You saw this pulsing blue
it
light
was a
come
pulsing
down and
blue
hit
light.
the
Yeah,
thing. Yeah, it was this. It was like a crackling blue pulsing thing that
yeah,
hit the way he described it. And I'm like, oh, is that what
it
this
could be
is? Is
similar.
that what's going on? Is there there's somebody playing with Tesla coils, or are we talking? What are we doing?
Yeah,
What's going on? So yeah, that
yeah.
was anyway. That's my point about that.
And in
What do you got?
and in slight contrast to that,
Mhm,
back in the first campaign when the first time that Matthew mentions the Briarwoods,
mhm.
nobody heard it, including Taliesin. He didn't hear it.
Mm.
He was saying he was listing off names and
Yeah, I
somebody
remember
coughed or something
this.
that was
Yeah.
loud happened,
Yep.
and he said Lady Briarwood or Lord
Mhm,
Briarwood or something like that, or
mhm,
Lady
mhm,
and Lord
mhm.
Briarwood, and it like, and you could see Matt. I went back and looked at it. And he like kind of looked
Yep.
up a little bit. Nothing happened,
Mhm,
and he was
mhm.
like, "Huh." But I kind of need that right now. So like a little
Yes.
later, he had the one that I forgot the guy's
I
name,
rem
but he was
Yep,
like,
I
"Hey, make
remember
sure the
this.
Briarwoods hear this and they come here soon." That's when
Mhm.
Taliesin, he was like,
Yeah, he perked up. He's like, "What?" I remember that. I
I
remember
just
that.
blinked a
Yeah.
million times. It was
Yeah.
the second
He's like,
time Matthew brought it up,
"Holy
and
shit."
Matthew noticed that nobody saw it the
Mhm,
first time, so he's like,
mhm.
"Okay, but this is
I
important."
I very much remember this. Well, this
And
was one
this
of the reasons
time,
I'm
in
yeah, well, because we
contrast,
know we know what's coming up in 10 days.
oh fuck, yeah, dude, I can't wait to see the when they're lighting everything
I'm
on fire.
Did
We can
you
talk about that another time.
I know you don't watch the trailers, but did you watch the Red Band trailer that came out this weekend?
No, nope.
Okay. Fuck, it's good, man. It's
I know
so
I got to stay away
good.
from Reddit to stay away from that shit, but I just like to go
Mm,
in fresh. And when I watch the
I know.
first one, then I'll jump on.
Yep. Okay, I won't say anything. I want to talk to you about it, but I can't. I
Yeah,
won't. I'll
damn it.
wait.
I'm
It's okay.
sorry. I'm
It's okay. It's
sorry. I
okay.
just
No,
gotta
don't
go
worry
in
about it. It's okay.
fresh. I'm one of those
I have
guys about
some
spoilers.
I've been talking to my other buddies about it. So I've got a couple of people that are they're not so much into Critical Role, but they're definitely going to be watching this animated series, The Legend of Vox Machina. So there I can talk to them about it, and it's fucking hilarious. There's some stuff that I've got theories about, and not me, just me, but other people as well that are weird. But we'll see. Yeah.
I'm a little
No more about that.
apprehensive just because
No more about that.
it's hyped up so much, especially right up
Oh,
in
I
here.
know, man. I
I know,
know.
and I gotta
Doesn't
be
that
careful to not get
I
hyped
know
up. No
you get those
expectations. It's written
expectations,
instead
man.
of improvised,
Yep.
but it's
Yep.
based
Yep.
off
Yep.
of something that's already
It's
been
based
done.
off. It's right. Exactly. It's
It's
based off
got
the
to be
distributor.
good, but I
So
hope I don't, I hope I'm not
they're gonna knock
disappointed.
it out of the park. You know they're gonna knock it out of the park.
They have
It's
to,
not.
right? This
I think
expectations
it's
are already
not
up,
gonna
but
be.
I'm
I don't
fucked.
think it's gonna be what we expect. I think it's gonna be excellent. I don't think it's going to be what we expect. I think they're gonna turn the story a little bit. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah,
I think it's like as good screenplay does.
I hope so.
We'll see.
We'll
Hey,
see.
what's your point?
One last little thing.
Yeah, you're last to
One
you.
last little thing. When Ashton was telling his story about all that stuff, and then
Mhm.
he says that somebody just kind of took off after that, or something like that. I don't remember if it was
Mhm.
him taking off or it was somebody else that just disappeared, and then something like that. And
Well, the
FCG
nobodies.
says if anything like that goes down for us, I
Oh
wouldn't
yeah.
leave you.
Right. Right.
Just
Yeah.
him being FCG, and
Yes.
then Fern quickly chimes in with, "I probably would."
I'd probably run. Yep.
And that part didn't really get me, but it was
Mhm.
you heard the fucking crew. The crew
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
like she's just fucking on fire this whole time. There's just
Mhm.
one
Mhm.
more right there. And when I
Oh,
hear
it's
the
great.
crew kind of lose it a little bit,
Yeah.
it makes me lose it a little like twice as
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. She's excellent, man.
She's just killing it.
Her.
That's all.
It's so intuitive for
Plays
her.
me.
It's so right there. It's just
Yeah, she's in her element, man. Like they're talking
she's
about
got it.
Taliesin at
She's
Ren
got it.
Fair. This character is fucking great for her. Wrapping up the book.
Beautiful. Beautiful. All right, let's wrap it up.
Sounds good. You got anything to plug? You got a show coming up, don't you? Didn't you
No,
say you
man,
had
I
a
got
show?
nothing. No.
Oh no, you said you were playing again, and I interpreted that as a show. Sorry. All right. I got one coming up in Taipei on the 29th at the James Joyce second location. And I got one on February 12th down
right.
up here in Taichung at Sound Lifehouse with Ape Apocalypse
Yay,
and
my
Temple
boys.
Smoke from
Nice.
Thailand.
Other boys.
Yeah,
Oh, dude, I love
it's all
Temple.
the boys.
I mean, I get to see the apes all the time, but it's a when Temple Smoke does come down to Kaohsiung, I enjoy the shit out of those guys, man. Like they are excellent.
Like since
I
Cuervos kind of stopped playing, Cuervos was
mm,
easily my favorite band. They're from Shinju.
mm,
Temple Smoke, easily. They're
yeah,
just like that
yeah.
grunge and
Oh,
the heaviness and the
it's
I
a
love them.
weird it's a throwback to the early '90s, man. I loved what they're doing. It's so great,
Yeah. So mark your
so good.
calendars, February 12th. Come on up.
February 12th, yeah.
Yeah.
Right on,
And
right on.
that's all my plugs for right
Actually,
now.
no, I'll talk to you about that later. I'm going to try and get up on the 29th because I'm off then, but the 12th might be doable also.
You got your game the
make
next day.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, never mind. I can't do that. Shit. Right. Too bad.
Unless you just stay up all
Um,
night.
mm, yeah, that's not going to happen.
I'm not gonna force you into it, but I'm not gonna,
No,
not
I know.
gonna push you away
Well, if the
either.
boys, if the apes are all going up, there's always a chance I could catch a ride. I could not catch a ride with
They
them, but
usually
travel
go
up there
back
with
that
them.
night.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe they just hate us, but that's usually my experience. Like for Chop Fest and shit, they're usually all fucking
Mm,
packed up on,
hmm.
and gone home by the end of the night.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They're old. Half of them are getting old now, and they have families and stuff.
Half of Taiwan's
So
getting old, man.
which it happens to the best of us.
All right.
Hey, let's wrap this up.
Sounds good.
Let's do this. Yeah,
Okay.
getting
There's
tired.
nothing
I gotta
else.
take the pup for a walk.
Sounds good. Yep. She's been sneaking back there. She's been sneaking some. Oh, there she is. Look at her go. Oh, she knows when it's time to wrap
She
up.
knows. She heard me say the W word.
All right.
Clever girl.
Wrapping up.
Yeah.
Let's don't forget to love each other. And is it finally Friday?
Hey.
Take care,
Good
bud.
night,
We'll see you
everybody.
next week.
See you, man.